Comedy is a very delicate genre that is for the most part a very subjective genre. You can't just push any piece of media as the greatest of greats in terms of comedy to any average Frank on the street. Obviously, there are outliers like your Charlie Chaplin and Tom and Jerry shenanigans. Everyone could get down with that. Even within a world of fools, those bring light to the saddest of folk. And that's why I think everyone, no matter how stoic or how goofy they should find their own groove and niche within comedy. Because in my humble opinion, it is one of the most important genres along with horror. I think the biggest reason as to why folks stray away from the genre of comedy is because a large part of it is quite the lost art, all things considered. A lot of films nowadays, even way back in like the mid 2010s, they usually have some sort of good setup but lack fundamental execution or ninja precise timing with the jokes and visual gags on screen. As well as they kind of just lack outlandishness in older movies. The newer comedies usually feature a dumbass protagonist doing dumbass decisions, which leads to homogenization with the rest of the comedies that are churned out for a quick buck. Because they always have to be reminded that studios do not take risks anymore. Within the established industry, especially nowadays in the tyranny of streaming, it's killing theaters and casual moviegoers alike, there's a striking lack of classic style of subgenre, that being the stoner comedy or the slasher, so on and so forth. That's why it's important within the ginormous year of 2025, more so than ever, frankly. I feel that we all need to find, like I said, our niche and our own groove within what we like. And I implore all of you to find that within comedy especially. There are so many classics just layered and dressed with nuance, and if not, slightly outdated lingo. But you have to understand, a lot of those films were made simply to portray the characters as normal people. This was the genuine norm of the times, and adding it just adds to that relatability of the characters. Yes, nowadays, we have to be more inclusive, and that's what could make a comedy in the 20s its own unique flavor. That's why coming in with a set taste of a style of comedy, you, whoever is watching this, if you have any sort of aspiration within the arts, you can make your own comedy that stands the test of time, but in the future will be a peak within what the 20s were like. What I'm trying to get at as well to you, the individual, is that you wouldn't know if you like a style that's safe and, if the style is like safe and has recycled jokes just with a prettier face, a prettier act spouting it out. Or you wouldn't know that you love dynamics between friends that have completely different backgrounds. There's a deep chasm between someone who is explored and is comfortable with the type of taste they have garnered for comedy and a person that's, just meandering around, taking simple suggestions from friends and being like, yeah, I've seen that one, that was pretty good and stuff like that. Joe from work, for example. What I'm trying to get at is that you get a greater appreciation for the art form and understand yourself and understand the core engine of what drives these jokes and punchlines and what makes them work. So, with all this talk about why it's important and how it helps to have a greater appreciation towards the arts, what exactly are we pushing towards when we do cultivate towards taste? I believe it has a strong impact within the whole ecosystem of cinema. With how everyone is all so connected now, we should strive for the weirder movies of old. Anything that could just have like a funky poster should be your go-to. Sure, nowadays there are a lot of like specifically made for you type watch lists that are filled with safe, generic, inoffensive to the point of being offensive type of films. But you want to find that spark that pushes you forward and, have a talking point that just simply resonates with you and makes you see yourself and what discussions and talking points that you enjoy more clearly. Film is always an artistic expression, but it's also an evolving language in a sense. Every year there's more plain Jane films, but in the whole world of easy nights of chuckles, you got like the Hangovers of the world and all that. It's difficult to find something that truly just ticks your boxes, and it's simply rewarding to feel that with a film, to make you feel something, to make you feel truly alive. That's why I am glad I was passed down like the stuff, like a scroll of horror flicks. But over the past 6 years, I've came up with my own funkadelic taste in comedy, and that's what I want to lead into. That made me think about all this. A very Harold and Kumar Christmas. Now, to get some background on this and what sparked it is how Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, and basically a lot of the early 2000s and 90s comedies just tick my boxes because there are fundamental structures and setups that are so airtight and so tailor-fit for what I like that it makes me feel like I'm Scrooge McDuck just swimming in the money, you know, in terms of how many great comedies came from that era. But, you know, stoner comedies are usually not my shindig. Like, you know, what else you got? You got Dude, Where's My Car, which, you know, sometimes it's funny, but it has the same running joke, and it's like, it gets insufferable after a while. But, you know, to my surprise, Harold and Kumar is a stoner comedy. But, you know, for the most part, the first and second movie are just, you know, elite class comedies. It has all the core principles of a great comedy right from the get-go. You have strong and relatable characters, and with the little spice of, you know, they come from a general place, but they also have the ethnic background that, you know, pushes them forward. The movie has a well-structured narrative that drives the whole film forward, basically. And, you know, they need to go to White Castle, that's the thing. And, you know, it has heavy conflict and escalating stakes, which leads them into getting into the shenanigans. There's way too much shit that happens to get into, but, you know. As well as for a comedy, it gets in the groove really quickly and reaches that sweet spot in comedy where everything just makes sense. Even when it subverts your expectations of how things are going down, it just makes sense. Hey, pay attention. That's another strong thing to have for a comedy. That shit's important. That's basically the gist of it. So last night, or I guess like a week from now, you know, Ball and I bumped the last in the trilogy, a very 3D Harold and Kumar Christmas. And it was good. It was nothing too crazy, but it was good for the most part. But a lot of the film is just too safe in my eyes. Too safe for a Harold and Kumar film, especially after the first two. It just lacks that stronger narrative of being the core engine that powers the rest of the shenanigans that play out. The rising conflicts, you know, the fork in the road during the story, that is. Unlike the previous two films, when this...
Let's just get back on the highway, okay? Fine with me. It's not funny. Where's my spare tire? I don't know. Where the hell's my spare tire? Oh, yeah. Dude, remember that time we got really stoned and started throwing shit off that bridge to see if it would float? What bridge? I don't remember. What are you talking about? Oh, shit, that's right. That was with Goldstein. We borrowed your car that night, my bad. Your bad? What the hell are we gonna do now? Hey! Hey, excuse me! Hello! Over here! Excuse me! You always need some help. Thanks for helping us out.
Or when this happens...
It's gonna be exactly like Eurotrip, only it's not gonna suck. It's gonna be awesome.
It's not gonna be awesome.
Goldie?
No, ma'am. Not a terrorist. He's just an idiot.
This is just a bong.
You say you got a bomb! It's a water pipe for tobacco!
No, it's not a bomb. It's just a bong.
Poison gas!
You picked the wrong plane, you terrorist. Fuck!
Hey! Hey, what are you doing?
It just lacks substance, I suppose. Nothing about it is outwardly bizarre or has that stoner comedy staple, I'd like to say. On top of that, the direction that they took Kumar with just goes against what was previously set up. The whole plain section of Guantanamo Bay, it humbly leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth because it's just blatant character regression, as well as the fact a lot of the film feels a little too safe in terms of its humor. There's some good stuff in there, but also a clear lack of that otherworldly type of edge, kind of like a regular show. Except maybe when Harold shoots Santa in the face or when his dick gets stuck on the pole. The final point I would wish to make is that the general animosity towards comedies, just like with horror films, is that they're seen as lesser or subpar. The whole elevator horror shindig, don't even get me started on that, but a handful of people have a disdain towards both of these genres because they think that a lot of them don't even have general themes and are simply focused on cheap devices to push the film, to move along. This is simply a fallacious argument or mindset as far as I'm concerned. A lot of the folks who think this way are just all about whether critics dig it or not. And it's weird and kind of disgusting to the art form, I feel. Because horror and comedy were practically the dominoes that fell into place for how foundational they are to the medium of motion pictures. Once again, that's the problem with this film that disregards from the other two. There was dense theming within both, and especially the first film. If you look a little about when the film was pitched, studios kept recommending to switch for the whole white guy and black guy to be the dynamic duo, which is just a complete erasure of the heart of the film, talking about the American lifestyle from a different lens of an Asian American and an Indian American. The whole arc of Harold, for example, is trying to push his boundaries of not just being the Asian banker that gets shit on by the white guy. Even, they even make a joke about it in the second film.
When we get out of this, I'm gonna fucking kick your fucking ass, man! Boy, you're scaring me. Oh, come on. You're not one of those kung fu Asians. You're a fucking pussy banker, for Christ's sakes. Fuck I'm gonna lift you up, fuck bitch! You bitch, watch your back, bitch! Fuck you, dude! Fuck you! Fuck you! Awesome.
Same thing with Kumar. It's seen that his family is kind of well off, but at the same time, he doesn't want to feed the stereotypes of Indians being doctors and, and such, having these highbrow jobs. The scripting of the first film is just subverting your expectations in a comedic way and in a general sense when you have no knowledge of the film. And this is how I tie it back into the third film. It lacks general substance of anything to say, really. That's the biggest crutch of the film, which saddens me because they had a golden streak. This could have been up there with the Friday trilogy or Rush Hour, with how it could have been the absolute greatness of comedy in my eyes. But with all those problems that we delved into, the lack of theming, the safe, inoffensive style of jokes, unimaginative, bland conflicts, it ultimately just comes out undercooked, I feel. The 3D aspects were fucking hilarious, and John Cho and Kal Penn are super rad, carrying most of the script of what it had to offer and making the most of it. But you understand now that once you develop your own taste completely and utterly, that you can now understand and critique what you love about these types of films. The largely subjective yet clever filmmaking of a comedy, you can understand what's good and what's not within your own right. And I have explained why for the trilogy, Harold and Kumar, it ended up so, the first film started so strong, but ended up being just a pretty good trilogy at the end of the day. In conclusion, you guys should check out this trilogy. It's pretty fucking tubular, and go experiment. Check out stuff that simply looks funky or intriguing. Go against the grain, enjoy yourself. The film is something that's very special, and you have to know what you like, so go out there and grasp more of it. Or, if you got big dreams and aspiration, do that to learn why you like them and why you like this specific style of this broader genre, to have a foundational understanding, regardless, peace and blessings, bless Ball up for the editing, and Merry Christmas. Have a, great time with your family, friends, eat up, what the fuck do y'all even do at Christmas? What do y'all eat in Christmas? A ham roast or something like that? I don't even know. Probably tastes dry as shit. But anyway, keep it cool, keep it stylish. Catch y'all later.